Do you hear it? The echoes of the past, the whispers of forgotten truths, fragments of memories lost in the shadows. Welcome to Brainrot, Echoes, where we bring you stories long buried, unravel mysteries cloaked by time, and guide you through the darkest corners of the mind and the universe. Each video is more than just content. It's an echo resonating deep within, urging you to question, to wonder, to explore. Backend index pointing right, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join us in listening to the echoes the world tried to silence. Milky Way Part 1, a legend among the stars. Space. Cold. Endless. In the darkness of the Andrax galaxy, scattered lights flicker silently, like the whispers of ancient stars. And among those whispers, a legend still echoes. The legend of a species that vanished, a species that once ruled the skies. Humanity. They called humans by many names. The precursors, the first masters, the ghosts of the old age. In the councils of Zinter, humans were spoken of as beings who shaped the very universe. On the crumbling stone tablets of the forsaken planet Mythos, ancient script still etched. When the skies burned with fire, they departed, leaving the galaxy to the weak. One day, when darkness consumes the light, they shall return. But time eroded all faith. 100,000 star cycles have passed. Most species today, from a mighty Krogan to the scattered tribes of Terith, dismiss it all as myth. A tale to soothe frightened children in the dark. Humans. The Krogan overlord once scoffed from his titanic throne. If they were real, they'd never have let the galaxy fall into my hands. Yet, at the farthest edges of Andrax, the devotees of the human myth still light ancient beacons. Every generation, they send signals into space. Prayers, a weary song calling for humanity's return. But only silence answers them. The eternal silence of dead nebulae. At the heart of Andrax, endless wars blaze. The Krogan Empire, with its bloodthirsty machine legions, sweeps through star systems. Prosperous worlds are reduced to ash. Civilizations erased in a single heartbeat. In that darkness, hope for humanity fades more than ever before. The last council. Aboard the space station Zereth, the final survivor of the Allied Council gazes at the star map. His eyes, aged and heavy with despair, follow the Krogan advance. "There's no one left," he whispers. "No one left to save us." A young officer trembles, her voice choked. Do they even exist? Humans, their fleet? The old man stares into the endless night beyond the glass, his voice cracked and hollow. Perhaps they only exist in the dreams of the dying. Traces of the past. Far beyond Andrax's edge, a drifting smuggler ship stumbles upon a massive wreck buried in asteroids. Its hull is made of strange metal no scanner can identify. Faint letters, nearly erased by time, remain on its side. USS Helios, Sol Fleet. The smuggler captain stares, bewildered. He does not understand, but history will mark this. The first human relic seen in 100,000 star cycles. The waiting darkness. And then, in the cracks of space, a signal awakens. A long-sleeping fleet stirs. Ancient engines roar once more. And human eyes open after a cold slumber lasting millennia. They were once a legend. Now, they're the nightmare of those who mock their name. Milky Way Part 2, The Rising Darkness. The Krogan Empire was not the only enemy in Andrax's history, but it was the greatest darkness to ever engulf the galaxy. From their capital world Krogthal, Krogan factories spew endless black smoke and dead metal. They forge vast armies, colossal war machines, fleets of thousands of warships, and doomsday orbs named Eyes of the Void, a single shot from which can shatter a planet. In less than 50 star cycles, Krogan forces crush 12 civilizations. Empires once thought invincible are now dust adrift among the stars. The fall of hope. In the Zereth system, once called the Garden of the Galaxy, vast bioforests and silver oceans burn. Zereth's intelligent creatures flee in vain, only to be hunted down by Krogan gunships like insects. A final broadcast from Zerith echoes across the galaxy, the trembling voice of a leader. We begged for alliance, begged the myth. If humans exist, this is the time we need them most. Please. The signal cuts off as a Krogan plasma blast obliterates the command center. Across Andrax, the remaining star systems lose hope. The Allied Council collapses. The last armies shatter beneath Krogan might. And the stories of humanity? They become curses. Don't speak of humans again. They don't exist. We must save ourselves. Those who still believe. In the galaxy's darkest corners, some refuse to give up their prayers. On the ruined moon Aranos, a small band of human myth devotees ignite the ancient beacon, a towering structure covered in human glyphs. They know few believe, but they light it anyway. Their leader, an old man named Male, places his hand upon the stone and whispers, "We have nothing left. If you ever existed, hear us this one last time." And the beacon sends forth a strange radio wave, flying into the galaxy's rim. A simple signal, bearing one symbol, the human DNA strand. The Krogan's hunger for dominion. Aboard the Krogan flagship, Overlord Graltor studies the star map, a cold smile on his face. The last system has fallen. No more alliances. No more myths. Humans are a joke. Behind him, his commanders roar with laughter, growling like beasts. We will make all of Andrax the Krogan domain. The Krogan fleet sets course for the galaxy's edge, where the last free systems await their doom. An echo in the darkness. But as the Krogan fleet enters the dead zone, the beacon's signal reaches its destination. In the deep rim, a region untouched for millennia, a massive warp gate suddenly activates. Krogan sensors wail in panic. A colossal energy surge is building. Graltor's eyes narrow. What the hell is that? Who dares block the Krogan? And space tears apart. A different darkness, vast and more silent, emerges. Milky Way, the human fleet, has awakened. Milky Way Part 3, Signal from the Darkness. Space was silent, yet that silence thundered louder than any roar of battle. The Krogan fleet halted before the massive ancient warp gate that had just opened. Its surface was coated in cosmic dust, scarred by the cracks of time, but from deep within, a colossal power was stirring. Krogan scanners failed to penetrate the gate's interior. All signals were drowned out by a strange, ancient frequency, like a voice echoing from the dawn of creation. The first signal. Aboard the Krogan flagship, Graltor bellowed. Put on the main screen. A trembling officer activated the feed. The colossal screen displayed the scene. From the rift in space, massive dark shapes began to emerge. They resembled no warship the Krogan had ever known. No harsh edges, no crude designs. These vessels were smooth, majestic, as if forged from both light and shadow. The silver gleam of their hulls reflected starlight, casting eerie halos. A signal rang out, broadcasting across all channels. This is the Soul Fleet. Distress signal confirmed. Prepare for the restoration of order. The voice was calm, ancient, commanding, as if it were the voice of the stars themselves. The Krogan's horror. Graltor froze. He had heard the legends, mocked them, laughed at the so-called human fleet. But now, the truth stood before him. This can't be. They can't exist. An officer screamed. Overlord, they're locking targets. Their weapon energy levels are off the charts. Fire first. Crush them. The Krogan do not bow to myths. The Krogan fleet unleashed hell. Thousands of plasma beams, nuclear missiles, and heavy cannons shrieked toward the human formation. The legendary power. And then the human ships moved. No ruse, no panique. They glided like vast phantoms through the storm of fire. A shimmering silver-blue field enveloped each vessel, swallowing every attack. Plasma beams dissolved like dust. Nuclear warheads detonated harmlessly before they could strike, as if rejected by space itself. From the Soul Fleet, immense light cannons fired. No sound, only blinding white beams tearing through the void. Where each beam passed, a Krogan ship exploded into fragments. Graltor's fleet disintegrated within mere heartbeats. The ones from the cold sleep. Aboard the human flagship, USS Eternity, a man opened his eyes after millennia of slumber. His name, Adrian Salas, Supreme Admiral of the Soul Fleet. He gazed at the tactical display, his expression calm. Just as expected, the Krogan remained savages. A female voice spoke in his ear, Gaia, the fleet's command AI. Admiral, the distress signal from Aranos is still active. Shall we proceed with liberating Andrax space? Adrian nodded. It's time humanity kept its promise. The echo spreads. Across Andrax, observation stations began picking up the Soul Fleet signal. Species throughout the galaxy trembled, gasped, and then wept with hope. A single message was broadcast across all frequencies. We have returned. The long night is ending. Milky Way, the darkness that once consumed the galaxy, now trembled, and the legend of humanity was legend no more. Milky Way Part 4. The fleet emerges. Space blazed with light. From the ancient warp gate, the colossal human ships emerged, disciplined, majestic. The Soul Fleet, the army that had slumbered for millennia, now stood present in the stars, bearing power beyond all imagination. These titanic vessels, stretching for tens of kilometers, were clad in living armor, an organic alloy capable of self-repair. Upon their backs, energy cannons once used to forge new worlds glinted. The great battle of Andrax begins. In desperation, the Krogan scrambled to rally their forces. Their shattered fleet rushed to form a defensive wall around Krogan Prime. Graltor stood before the display, cold sweat dripping down his brow. We must fight. Krogan never surrender. But as the human superweapons fired, space trembled. A single white beam shattered the Krogan line, annihilating 50 warships in one strike. A massive explosion engulfed the orbit, reducing the once mighty fleet to stardust. Human strike ships, Spectre-class, swept into the Krogan formation, faster than anything the Krogan had ever witnessed. They moved like wraiths, destroying targets with unerring precision. The voice of Admiral Salas, aboard USS Eternity, Adrian Salas, gave the order. Eliminate resistance. Do not destroy the planet. We are here to liberate, not to annihilate. Gaia confirmed. Understood. Activating disassembler beams. Disabling all Krogan ground weapons. Human strategic satellites fired their disassembler beams, energy streams that rendered all Krogan planetary weapons inert. An entire war industry collapsed in minutes. The fall of the Krogan. Graltor screamed in despair as his defenses fell silent. No, we are Krogan. We. Before he could finish, his command doors burst open. A human strike team entered, black armor glinting blue, energy rifles locked on target. Their leader spoke coldly. The war is over, Graltor. Surrender. And for the first time in Krogan history, an overlord fell to his knees before another. Cheers among the stars. The Krogan surrender signal echoed across the galaxy. On oppressed worlds, people poured into the streets, weeping, cheering. Human myth devotees knelt before their ancient beacons, giving thanks to the legendary fleet. The fleet that guides the future. Adrian Salas stood in his command chamber, gazing at the star map, now peaceful. Gaia, open the reconstruction centers. We did not return just to fight. We returned to rebuild the galaxy. Yes, Admiral, initiating the Phoenix Plan. From the Soul Fleet's motherships descended thousands of ecological restoration modules, renewing atmospheres, cleansing dead seas, reviving forests. Humanity was no longer the legend of war. They were the legend of rebirth. Milky Way, the universe bore witness. The human fleet, the fleet of light, had returned, and Andrax had begun a new era. Milky Way Part 5. The Awakening of the Fleet. Amidst the vastness of space, the Soul Fleet drifted quietly beneath the light of ancient stars. The silver hulls of their massive ships now cleansed of cosmic dust, their cannons silent, making way for ecological modules and relief stations. The Krogan had surrendered. The war was over. But this was not the end. The cold sleep and the ancient vow. Aboard USS Eternity, Adrian Salas stood in the ancient chamber where humanity's memories were kept. Before him glowed a massive data crystal, pale and faint. Gaia's voice spoke. "Admiral," the Allied leaders asked, "why did humanity vanish for millennia?" Adrian closed his eyes, his voice a whisper to time itself. "Because we once made a terrible mistake. The forgotten. Millennia ago, humanity had conquered the galaxy. Their technology surpassed all others. But with that power came arrogance. They turned planets into fortresses, forged weapons that could erase entire star branches. And then came the Civil Wars, a galactic conflict that lasted millennia and nearly doomed their civilization. The last leaders, with vision beyond their time, issued the sleep order. They hid the Soul Fleet within the ancient warp gate, in cold slumber beyond the galaxy's edge, waiting for the true darkness to arise. When the galaxy falls into shadow, we shall return, not to rule, but to save. The Fleet of Hope. When the ancient beacon was lit, the Soul Fleet awoke. Ships designed not only for war, but for healing, restoring planets, purifying air, reviving dead oceans. Adrian Salas gave the final order of the war. Extinguish the flames of hatred. Begin the Phoenix Plan, rebuilding Andrax. The Soul Fleet spread across the galaxy, not as invaders, but as saviors. On Zereth, once the Garden of the Galaxy, ecological modules reigned like shooting stars. Forests regrew, dry oceans filled, blue skies returned. On Krogan worlds, humanity sought no vengeance. They helped rebuild cities, restore order. Across the stars, monuments were raised, inscribed with the Soul Fleet's vow. We did not return to rule. We returned for the light. The dawn of a new era. The Andrax Council was restored, no longer divided. Humanity claimed no throne. They became the guardians, ready to fade into shadow when the galaxy healed. Adrian Salas gazed at the brilliant galaxy beyond the glass, whispering, "We were once the darkness. Now let us be the light." Gaia's warm voice answered, like the stars themselves, "And so the galaxy shall remember us."